So we've been going over house hacking, but today we're going to talk about how does this live in and then rent strategy actually help you build wealth. Today, we're breaking down one of the smartest examples of how you can get your first property and start building your real estate portfolio all at the same time. So, what is the live in strategy? It's exactly what it sounds like. You buy your first home, you move into it, you live in there for at least 1 year, because oftentimes there are some rules around the loan that you get that might require at least 1 year. And then while you're living there, you rent out either a bedroom, basement, or maybe if it has an accessory dwelling unit, you rent out a part of the room. Maybe you rent out more than one room. After that year, you can go ahead and move out, and there you have it. You turn it into a rental. You have your first rental property. The great and the big part about all of that is that you can access, because you're living in that home, you can access an owner occupied financing, which allows you to put 3 to 5% down instead of 20 to 25% down that typically you would see be required on an investment property. That alone saves you thousands of dollars. And I'm going to explain how. So let's put this down into simple numbers. Let's just say that you buy a property for $400,000. So you buy a home for $400,000, and let's say you put 5% down. So you put $20,000 down. That's a mortgage of $380,000. Now let's assume a 6.5% interest rate. So after principal, taxes, and interest, plus remember, since you're putting less than 20% down, you're either going to have primary mortgage insurance or mortgage insurance premium, which we go into detail in other podcasts. So you can take a look at that. All in all, let's say that you're at $3,100 a month. So now if you are paying for that yourself and you are not house hacking your property, that means that $3,100 is coming out of your pocket, solely out of your pocket. That's $37,200 a year that you're paying on your own if you're not house hacking. So let's take a look and compare that to, let's say, if you actually rented out a part of your property. Renting out just one room changes everything. Let's say you have a spare bedroom, a basement with a door, or any space that makes sense in your home that you could rent out. Just one area for $1,000 a month would make a big difference. Now, instead of paying $3,100 per month, you're paying $2,100 out of your pocket. Remember, it was $3,100 a month total, so now they're paying 1,000, so it's $2,100. Instantly, you save $12,000 a year. Let's say you rent out two spaces. Maybe you rent out the basement for 1,000 and the room for $800. So that's $1,800 you'd be bringing in. And remember, we were using the example where the plates cost $3,100. So now your out-of-pocket expenses that you directly pay is only $1,300. Think about that. $1,300 is less than what many people pay in rent. So here's the part that most people miss. So even if you did not house hack, technically, even if you paid the whole $3,100 by yourself, you're still building wealth automatically. And here's why. So every month you're paying towards your mortgage and you're paying it down. That's building equity in the home. So let's just say about $7,000 of what you pay in your first year is going to go towards paying off the loan. That is like a $7,000 savings per year built into your house. Now, your home likely appreciates as well. So let's be conservative and say it appreciates at 3% per year. So 3%, remember, of that $400,000 is $12,000 in appreciation. So just by living there, your house might grow by $12,000 in value. So the total wealth, let's just say in year one, is that $7,000. Remember, you paid down the principal as well as the appreciation of $12,000. So that's $19,000 in year one. So even if you pay everything alone, you're technically still building wealth in the background. Now combine that with house hacking and things become super powerful. House hackers are still going to build that same $19,000 in wealth, but they pay a lot less to live there. Let's break it down. So now if you live alone, you pay $3,100 a month, right? And that's $37,200 a year. But if you house hack with just one roommate paying $1,000 a month, you pay $2,100 a month, which is $25,200 per year. If you house hack and bring in two renters, bringing in $1,800 a month, now you pay $1,300 a month, which is $15,600 a year. Now do the real math on that. You paid $15,600 a year, but your wealth increased by $19,000. That means that you effectively lived free and still got wealthier. Paying your mortgage is not a bill. It's technically like a transfer into your net worth. And house hacking just makes that transfer cheaper. When you move out, it gets even better. After 1 year, you're allowed to move out and buy another home, let's say. So your first home becomes a rental, a full rental at that. And now, if it rents out for $3,200 a month, your mortgage is still $3,100. So maybe you cash flow at first. It doesn't sound like that much. Maybe it's $100 a month at first, but rents rise over time. And your mortgage pretty much is staying the same, except for maybe your taxes and insurance might go up. So eventually you might start to cash flow $300, $500, or even $700 per month. Plus, remember, you still get appreciation, you still are having principal pay down, you still have tax benefits, and you still have a long-term asset growth. This first home essentially becomes a foundation of your rental portfolio. Here's the bottom line. If you rent, 100% of the money is gone if you're just renting a property from someone else. If you buy, you build wealth even if you paid everything yourself. So that's still a pat on the back, right? But if you house hack, you build wealth and you pay a lot less to live. So it's nothing, depending on how the numbers work. This is why the live in to rich strategy is one of the most powerful moves for first time homebuyers. You're not just buying a home, you're buying your first investment property with training wheels.